our symposium this morning. I'm just going to do a quick 1-minute introduction to explain what's happening today and to welcome our digital champions. So this event links very much into our Digital Ed project, and it's a celebration event as well as a learning event for all of us. At the main objective of this event is all about building digital teaching and learning capabilities, and we've been doing that with our digital champions as part of our Digital Ed project. So we're going to hear from 20 champions this morning, and we also have a really special guest with us. And a big shout out to Alex. She's on the phone there, or sorry, on the call with us this morning. She's got up at 4 a.m. to join us. Now, we did put her keynote out a bit later, but Alex was really keen to see all the work of the digital champions. So a big welcome to Alex, who's on the call with us this morning as well. So just a quick run through our plan. The Digital Champions Symposium today, very welcome to everybody. Just to let you know, we actually have a network of there's 18 champions within GMIT. Many are in an active mentoring role, working in their departments with colleagues, supporting them in the development of their digital teaching and learning capabilities. So a huge thank you for that. And we have many of those cohorts that are doing this special Level 9 programme, and they've been engaging with this programme over the last year, and they're showcasing their work today. We also have wonderful champions from our partners in IT Sligo. We have 2 presenting with us today, Anya and Killian, and we also have presenters from Letterkenny. I think we have all 4 of them today that are presenting. Is that correct, Annette?
Yes, I think so, yes.
So we have Shane and Shane Wilson, Michael Carey, Isabel Cunningham, and is there another one? Paul Gherkin? Is that it? Paul McGurkin? I think so. Anyway.
Yes, I don't on the call yet, but yes, Karina.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's
her. Paul McGurkin. Yeah, hi everybody.
Hi,
how are you?
I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I hope.
No R. There's no R, but it's okay. There's many variations.
How are you? So that's our plan. A huge congratulations and well done. These are our first recipients of the new CUA, as we call it, our Level 9 Certificate in Digital Teaching and Learning. And this is supported through the iNote Digital Ed project. So thanks very much. And we're really looking forward to your presentations. I'd also like to just give a really special thank you to Annette Cosgrove, because Annette has been the lead champion and mentor and facilitator and has been leading this group through this Level 9 programme this year. So huge thank you to Annette, because I know hours of time have been put in mentoring and supporting this team. So thank you, Annette. So we're going to start off with will we go straight into it, Annette?
Yeah, I just want to say just a quick good morning and just to thank everybody for all their positive engagement to date. And really, we're really looking forward to sharing all your excellent digital practice with our colleagues on the call today. So thanks to everybody, and best of luck for today. Okay, so thanks, Karina. So I'll hand it over to you, and if you introduce the first group, and I'll do the ones after the break.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so first up, we are going to have, is Michael Carey's not here, just to double check?
Let's just check, is Michael here?
Yes, I'm
Michael
here.
Yes, he's here. He's here.
Brilliant.
Great.
Okay.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Michael. So first up, we have Michael Carey. Michael is a lecturer in the Letterkenny Institute of Technology, and he's one of our digital champions. So big welcome to Michael. And are you ready to share your screen, Michael?
Yes, I am. I'm good to go. I'll share my screen now. How long do I have, Karina?
You have 7 minutes. Great. And an extra minute. Then we'll be putting hands up, and I'll be waving. Good. I'm telling you when you're at 7 minutes. We have to finish 8 minutes max for each showcase.
Excellent.
So thanks a million.
I hope I see those hands up.
I'll be waving.
Screens. That's fine. Oh, that's great. So I'll see you out there. So am I sharing a screen right now? And do you hear me okay?
Perfect. And if you just click, the share button up
and
top.
I've done, okay, the share button, share it now, and desktop, just hit it and hit that again. Share the share window. What's that about? Yeah, click and share. And you let me know when you see my agenda for today, please, Karina.
Perfect. It's up, Michael.
Okay, we're good to go. Folks, thank you for letting me host here today. Thanks, Karina and Annette, for all your great work. We'll kick straight into it, folks, because I now don't have 9 minutes. I have 6.5 minutes. So, folks, this is my life and my story so far. So, folks, I'm 10 years at this blended online learning, and the last 5 I've been pretty much online with all of my modules for the LYIT and Letterkenny. Long story as to why I went up 100%. It was due to the Dublin bus strike many years ago when I was stuck in Griffiths College in Dublin, and I had no class. Nobody could make it in on the buses. So I decided to click that button, go online, and I never turned back, folks, to be honest. It's the place to be. Folks, you don't need me to tell you that we don't have another option here. We have to go online and we have to use the VLE. So good luck to us all on that. And it's fun. It really is. I reckon, folks, I'm teaching better on the VLE now than I actually do in the class. Figure that one out. Folks, I'm at point 3 here. When it comes to a new module, there's 2 big things in our world. I'm either given the module, I get it on Friday, and I'm told I'm hitting the class on Monday. It's a killer position to be in, folks, because I know half the stuff. I'm nervous about it. I just don't know how to organize things. I don't even know how to get started. So that's the first option I'm going to look at very briefly, folks. So when it comes to my new module, what I actually ended up doing was, now I didn't have the A option back 4 years ago when I had a brand new option. In fact, it was 2 years ago when I got this Friday, Monday module. So I didn't have a template in the college to give me, so we didn't even have a VLE department. So I was stuck all alone with my virtual learning environment and a blank online module, and I honestly didn't know where to start, folks. So what I did on the Friday night, I basically grabbed the syllabus. I jumped out into my online, my online course out here, which I'll just click on. It happened to be called Financial Systems Analysis. Great. I put up the first little link on it. Don't worry about the options I'm choosing here. I always start off my modules with this section called Course Materials, which is all the students see the very first minute they click into my module. In there, they see a syllabus. You click on it. The syllabus just tells them exactly what our ILOs are, and we're all driven by ILOs, folks. So I just took each of those and I banged them into my VLE, and my VLE just looked like this. I ended up with O1, evaluate the role, O2, define the documents. That's exactly what each of those ILOs were. So for the first half hour of my Friday night, before the Monday delivery, I began to put this stuff into my VLE with nothing in there, folks. Then I had to start grabbing O1. What do I know about O1? And I popped down here and say, God, I need to know something about this and this and this and this. I go off to websites. Folks, the bottom line and the problem with that is that you don't have time for fancy quizzes. You don't have time for videos. You don't have time for anything. All I need on Monday morning to hit my 9 o'clock class is a PowerPoint presentation in PDF format and a couple of YouTubes, as many as I can grab anywhere. And the rest is down to me verbally to talk to my class about that particular topic. Folks, it actually worked for me. I was able to get through my module with just this simple approach of banging these numbers in here, one for each of my ILOs as seen there, and I populate or put items into each of these numbers as the class progresses and so on. So as you can see here, well, I'm already in the very first ILO there. So the one on evaluate the role of the business analyst, bang, 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 put numbers on them. Some of these are YouTubes, some are notes. Folks, it got me started, it got me up, but I have to say it didn't allow me to do all the nice things that I would like to do with the VLE. And you can't the very first year that you're delivering a module. I know I can't. I'm struggling to get the content of it all out. Folks, other things to bear in mind is to be driven by the ILOs, put them into your VLE, organize your Windows Explorer folder, folks. Now that is more important than it's sounding. So you click on your Explorer, you go out to your folders, you try and find, you set up your area clearly, folks. Here's my module called Financial Systems Analysis. And in there, my layout is exactly as it is on my VLE. Course materials at the top, evaluate, these are all my ILOs. That's exactly what I'm seeing up here in my lead into the module. Now, that's key for me because this module could be around a few years, and I want to know where in my Explorer to go and to find those notes for each of them. So all my PowerPoint presentations go in there, my notes go in there, so that this is completely aligned with my content, so that if I want to change anything in here for the second year round, I know where that O2 Functional Information Systems PDF is. I nip down here to Explorer, I locate it, I find it, I get moving on it, I make changes to it. Folks, that really worked well for me. So last item on the new module, good luck to you. It's not a nice place to be, but it does work and you can get through it. And if you manage to get the module to run a second year, you're in bonus points already, and you can do the fancy quizzes and videos and all the nice stuff. Now, more importantly, folks, my world has been around existing modules. I've had modules for the last 10 years that have just evolved long before we had a virtual learning environment in our college. So my key findings all came out from the recent GMIT assessment and the course that we've all been doing as digital champions, which I have to credit Annette and Karina for. You people made me look back on my stuff and try and figure out, what do I do with a module that has been around for 10 years and looks like this? It's boring. There's not much in it. It's the Blackboard virtual learning environment. There's options down the left-hand side. Content looks miserable. It just looks kind of boring, boring, boring. So you people made me take this module, which was last year's module, and then I converted it into this year's module. Down the left-hand side here, and another little interesting tip here, folks, is the SNP, S-N-I-P. Work too well. So let's do that. Snip for snipping. The snipping tool, folks, is our savior. I can take any screen, zip it all out here. So there we are. So now, folks, these are all my options down here that I can play around, but they're all brand new. The welcome and get started videos. You made me do videos, Annette, how dare you? But it was great for my module. You made me do lecture information. Nobody knew who I was. The syllabus wasn't immediately available. So that's what a proper virtual learning environment makes you do. You hit the welcome and get started, because when the students see this module the very first day, they're seeing and being welcomed by videos. They can look at the module. All their notes are here. That's who I look like. The syllabus is there, the online class schedule, what nights am I delivering this. The discussions board is there. They go out and post their comments there, tons of stuff. So folks, I'm conscious of the time here as well. So folks, I'll just read this one out here. When it comes to an existing module, for me, that's a module that you have every year. You're forever going back in and improving it. There's a big difference between a new being given one on a Friday and delivering a Monday, and one that's been around for a long time. Your approach has got to be different. I took the default option because I didn't have a default module given to me by my college. Now we have, as of over the summer of last year, we have a new instructional design department. They give us these templates that we go into, and we can copy out what the look and feel for our college should be. All these options down the left hand side, I've taken the best of them, and I've pumped them into my modules that I deliver. So now all of my modules will have the same look and feel. The problem with that, folks, is that it's not mandatory for lecturers. It's an option. Lecturers don't have to use this. One problem we have in our college is that they give us 2 instructional design templates. So which one are we to use? There's always confusions and things around these that needs to be ironed out from a managerial point of view, folks. Not our problem. But bottom line, I defaulted for years on my old module, but now I've gone in with the help of gone in with the new one, taken their advice. I made it better every year by putting in new ideas, new quizzes, new videos. For example, my Padlet, loved it this year. I shoved out a Padlet here on one module, and I'll give this about 10 seconds. I haven't used the feedback one before. I tend to just ask them in class, how did you find the whole thing and what was it all about? And where did it go in here? It's up here somewhere. Mad 120. When you're looking for something, folks, it's never there. My Padlet seems to have disappeared off of me. Not to worry. I put out a feedback for this year, grabbing in all the notes from all my students, and it has just taken a walk, has it? Preliminary assessment, assignments. Gosh, there you are, folks. Yeah, funny too. I'm in the wrong year. That's why. Okay, folks, it's here. I should have went click. I should have went. So many modules out here, folks, in our world. Padlet, shove them up, folks. What do you think of my course? Great feedback that will drive next year's class. And away they go. They give me all the nice feedback. And Annette made me do this. So I said, folks, how well did I do this year? What did I do well? Give me lots of great stuff here and beat me up on it. And what didn't work, they had a good go at me there. And any advice for the new year, folks? I have so much stuff in here that I'll be forever trying to put right. So again, Padlet, the feedback, can't do enough of that stuff. So now I'm able to do the really nice things in my module that I've always wanted to do, and the students do love it, folks. So folks, plan your Windows Explorer, give things good, decent names, be careful of backing up because you'll have problems with that. Talk about that again, and watch your naming, your generic naming of things. Like for example, I call things lessons. I call, right, that's on already here, rather than days and hours and classes and so on. I call mine lessons, as you can see here.
Michael, I'm going to have to
I'm right
stop.
here.
Wonderful.
Thanks, folks.
Showcase.
Sorry
You're
for talking so
wonderful.
fast. Okay.
No, that's okay. Thanks a million for
You're
sharing
welcome.
that. A great piece of work. Well done. You really have transformed your module. Great to see Padlet in use. So next up, thanks very much, and we'll give you an applause or a virtual applause from everybody. So thanks very much, Michael. So next up we have Trevor Claffey.
Hi, Karina.
Hi, Trevor. How's it going?
Not too
Trevor
bad.
is a lecturer in the School of Business, and he's a mentor in the as a digital champion also within the School of Business, as well as doing this program this year. So thanks, Trevor. Are you ready to share?
Yeah. Can you see my screen there, Karina?
Yeah, it's up now, Trevor.
Okay, I'll start. Okay, good morning, everybody. Today I'm just going to show you a few engagement tools that I've used throughout last semester. I'd like to thank Annette, Karina, Orla and Jessica for all their help. I just found the course fantastic. It really makes you think outside the box in terms of assessment and engaging students. The course I selected as part of the level 9 was to do with a course, Springboard online course called Blockchain Business Models. It's a brand new course. And it kind of operates more on an online recorded format. But going into this semester, I kind of implemented a few engagement tools. I made it a bit more blended in terms of a hybrid model of live tutorials, live catch-up meetings, and so on with recorded videos. So just the first thing in terms of engagement tool that I found really effective was the digital badges. I'd like to say thanks to Wayne Gibbons as well for mentoring me on how to actually draw these up and implement them within a module. The idea behind the digital badges is kind of an incentive for the work that the student would do throughout the semester. The feedback I got from the students was fantastic regarding the digital badges. And not only did they like the two digital badges that were implemented here, but they also wanted more. So for weekly, activities or who's the best contributor and so on. So that's something I'm actively looking at. In terms of getting up and running with the digital badges, some of you might already know how to do this, but the Open Badge Factory is just a fantastic tool to create these digital badges. When I first went through it, it was a bit daunting. You first have to get registered your account on the Open Badge Factory, and then you go into your editing mode, so you can create a new badge. I'll just show you one that I've created here. So if you want to go in and edit that badge, you'll be given something from scratch. And the fantastic thing about the badge is that once it's issued, it's up to them whether they want to pull the badge down from Open Factory and demonstrate it on LinkedIn or their CV and so on. There's criteria for gaining the badge. So for the badge here, student with the highest grade for 2021, would have had to complete the following learning outcomes. If you want to preview your badge to what it looked like for the students, there's just an example there. And if you want to edit your badge and the look and feel of it in terms of text, icons, and so on, you can do there in preview mode. So that was the kind of the first engagement tool, which I found really, the students got great value of. So this kind of second engagement tool I used, so for my kind of pre-recorded videos, you can set up into the background your course completion. So you can see the green lights or the red lights to see who's actually, engaging with your video content. The only problem I find with this though is you just have to click a hyperlink or just play the video, and all of a sudden it'll go green. So what I did within the videos is that I embedded Microsoft Forms. So basically, this form would pop up sometimes at the start of the lecture, sometimes somewhere in between the lecture. That was the kind of sneaky thing to do, because you wouldn't tell the student where the form would pop up, but would kind of have a little quiz embedded. And so not only, so you could assess whether, if a student is clicking green, into the video and it's showing up green here, but they're not completing the quiz in the video, there's obviously an issue there that they're not fully engaging within the video. So the Microsoft Forms was just kind of another kind of blanket to just ensure engagement with the content. Other elements within the course, and I have to say, really good. I attended Karina's ABC workshop nearly a year and a half ago, and I found that really, really important in terms of the design of an online module. Also, the Oscar scorecard was really pivotal in terms of the way this module turned out. Other types of elements which I tried to engage the students were just varying it up a bit. So instead of the traditional, so I would have had a traditional guest lecture, let's say, really well attended, and this would have taken place on Teams. And I suppose the advantage of remote learning now is where some guest lectures, you wouldn't be able to bring them over to Galway or into, to give that guest lecture. They can be freely available now if they want to give a guest lecture remotely. So another element which the students really loved is this guest lecture I gave, David Roach gave, and this was a kind of a podcast format. And the feedback that was coming back, that students were listening to the podcast in their cars or on their headphones while out for the walk. So it was really interesting to see, that level of engagement of varying the way you present. It doesn't have to be, that lecture, traditional lecture of slides and audio. You can actually, try something else out, like a podcast. So I got really good feedback on that. In terms of other elements which I found really helpful, I implemented a marking rubric. So I kind of laid out, from the start what I wanted within the module. What will categorize, a first class honors, a second class honors, and so on. The students really liked this. It was kind of just a brief overview of the continuous assessments and key dates. So every time they logged in, it just hit them right bang in the middle. This is what, so we're in week 6, so we need an activities due. There's an MCQ being released. There's a guest lecture also. Also as well, in terms of engagement, I had this kind of Twitter hashtag. Now that was really, that really got good traction. So for those students who actually had a Twitter account, they came across a nice article, they'd put it up there on the Twitter. And the great thing about having this specific Twitter hashtag, it was unique to the course. So if you click into there, it only relates to the Blockchain Springboard 2020 course. There's no other kind of hashtags in there. And I've set up another one this year for Blockchain Springboard 2021. Another thing.
I'm going to have to stop you, Trevor. I just love listening to your.
Okay, no problem at all.
But I'm just conscious of the next.
I could speak all day, Karina.
And we have to have a special lunchtime seminar alone for all the work that's been done for each one of the champions here in GMIT and Sligo and Letterkenny. So thanks, Trevor.
Thanks, Karina.
Thanks a million. You've done amazing work, and it's great to hear about, the use of ABC and Oscar. These are the tools and strategies we're really promoting with colleagues for designing effectively for the online environment. So thanks, Trevor, and well done. And thank you for all the work you're doing with the School of Business. So next up we have Lucia Clunan, another colleague from the School of Business. Lucia, are you here?
Morning, Karina. Yeah, can you? Oh.
Congratulations again, Lucia, on your work and your engagement. So looking forward to your showcase. I'll take it over for now. Thanks.
Can you see my screen?
I see me.
Oh
no.
Gosh. You can? Karina, sorry, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see engaging learners online. Yeah.
That's it. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Lucia Clunan, and as Karina mentioned, I work in the School of Business. So I'd like to talk to you this morning about how I engaged learners online last semester. So these are some of my students. They're the BBS in Marketing and Sales Year 4. So again, any images or names that have been used in the presentations have been with the students' permission. So the module I taught last semester was brand management, and it was a module that I hadn't taught before. It was a new module, and I thought that, well, I was sure at the time that it was a massive disadvantage because I had all the content to create as well. But now, as I look back on it, I think it was actually an advantage because I was starting with a blank canvas, and I wasn't, I suppose, trying to convert a module from face-to-face delivery to online, that I was starting with how would I design these activities and how would I, what engagement tools would I use in class in the live sessions. So you can see there, you can see their organized chaos. That's my notice board at home. That was it at the beginning of the semester. All I can say to you is it got worse as the semester went on. Okay, so let's have a look at the activities then. I suppose the key thing for me was breaking down the content into smaller chunks and breaking down the assessment into smaller chunks and having it continuous week by week as we went along. The first thing I got them to do was the Microsoft Teams badge. The reason I got them to do that was part of the module is a 40% group project. So I wanted to be sure that they were confident in terms of meeting on Teams. They had closed project groups. I had them set up on Teams for them. So they had to meet regularly in terms of their project groups, and they had to do their presentations online at the end. So by doing the badge, they would have been confident in using Teams, number one. But number two, they have that badge now for when they go out into industry as part of their e-portfolio. So that was great, and that really got them engaged, I think, in week 1. The minute they came in, they had something to do. The second thing I used was H5P, much in the same way as Trevor was talking about using the forms within videos. H5P, you can put questions into videos. So, for example, in that one there on brands and brand management, say when they played to 2 minutes inside the video, maybe a question would appear, and they had to answer the question correctly or else they couldn't progress through the video. So I was trying to do the same thing in terms of just if they clicked on a video, the progression bar would change to green, even though they may have only looked at 1 minute of it. So that's what I was trying to do to get them to look at the whole video. And it certainly worked in terms of engagement. I think it worked though as well because it was graded. So every time they answered a question correctly, that automatically, the mark automatically went into gradebook on Moodle, which worked quite well. So H5P, I would definitely recommend it for the videos. The third thing I use then is the Ask It, Post It, Discuss It. Again, shout out to Trevor, who just presented there a few minutes ago. Trevor presented this template back in June in training we had in the business studies area. And it's basically, you can use it for any task. So for example, one I gave the students was, I showed them videos of 2 advertising agencies who were competing for a contract. So they had to look at the videos and then they had to decide who they were giving the contract to. And they had to post that to Teams, and then they had to reply to somebody else's post as well on Teams. The discussion forums worked well on Teams. I've used discussion forums for years on Moodle, and I never seemed to get the engagement. This year on Teams, it worked really well. The reason there it was for 6 weeks is the group project kind of took over after 6 weeks. So that's why some of the activities finished at week 6. The Twitter activity I brought in week 4 when I was happy that the students were confident posting to Teams and replying to each other. Then I felt, right, we need to go to a wider network and wider community. So like Trevor, I set up a hashtag for Brand Management 2020, and I asked the students to source an article in relation to branding. So they had to comment on Twitter, but then they had to come back into Teams and post their link there. And then they had to reply to somebody else's post as well. So that engaged them. The other activities I used Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a video app, and basically the students downloaded it to their phones, where again, twofold. Number one, they completed the Flipgrid badge, So they have that for their e-portfolio and when they go out into industry, and particularly as well if they're working as marketers, you know, content generation in terms of digital is huge. So they will use that later on in their careers. The second thing I asked them to do there was to create a video on their online experience to date and to use some of the Flipgrid features within that. So they enjoyed that. They found Flipgrid was a lot of fun, but it is something that they'll have for later when they graduate from GMIT as well. The other one I looked at, Trevor mentioned it earlier, was the Open Badge Passport. Again, another shout out. Wayne Gibbons, I hope you're listening or looking at the recording. You're getting lots of shouts outs this morning. Wayne helped me in terms of the badges. I set up two. I set up one for the Best Brand Project, which was the highest academic mark. But this one was the one that proved most motivating for the students. This was where I brought in the peer assessment. So the students had to, there was 60 in that group, and they had to vote for what they thought was the best brand presentation for the end of semester project. And what surprised me on this was, even though this wasn't worth any marks to them in terms of a grade, they were highly motivated to get this award because it was voted on by their peers. And I noticed actually on LinkedIn last week when I had a look at some of the students, they're promoting, the ones that won the badges are actually promoting that as part of their LinkedIn profile. So that's good to see. Another variation then of the eTivity, again, which was on a weekly basis, was view it, do it, submit it. So this was, again, where one of them was they had to do a blind taste test of brands of chocolate. So they had to go away and do a little bit of research and then write about it and submit it to Moodle. Yeah, this was an example. We got to week 5 and the students were a little bit unsettled that week. And I think it was because we went into, I think we were all unsettled. We went into the second lockdown. So I abandoned the activity I had planned for that week and I decided to give them something just a little bit different. So I came up with this kindness activity. So I asked them to go away and do something kind for themselves or for somebody else and to write about it and to post it to Moodle. So they came back with everything from music to sport to running to reading to cooking. But one thing that struck me about the 60, and all of them did it, the 60 of them submitted that activity, was I learned more about them in terms of their families, and a lot of them mentioned grandparents, which I thought was lovely. So that, I think that activity that we kind of gave them just breathing space and gave them a little bit of time to reflect. The tools then I used to engage in class, Michael mentioned Padlet earlier. Padlet is a favorite of mine as well, but you can see here on when I polled the students on it, it wasn't their favorite. Padlet is an interactive board. You can see it here where the students can post and I can post. So we tried it. What I'd say about the engagement tools is for the first few weeks, I tried all of them. And then the students decided which ones we would go with and which ones we wouldn't. So you can see there the Microsoft Forms, the polls, they were the ones that were most popular. They're really useful in class for a quick poll if you're having a discussion. The other one that the student liked was...
Yeah, I have to stop you.
All right. Okay, sorry.
You want to just finish up?
Okay, I'll finish up. So they liked Menti, the mind map in Menti was one that they liked. The one I want to mention is the eTivities one there as well. I asked students, I emailed them on a Thursday and asked them to, would the two of them asked them would they like to present in the class the following week. So every week, 2 of the students presented their work, and I think that engaged as well. Anything else there? I'll just go on to the conclusion. So I'll leave the conclusion to the students. They're the feedback comments I got from them. If there's one thing I would change for the next iteration of it, I think it's to take the weekly eTivities down from 2 to 1. It was a high workload for the students and for me as well from the point of view of corrections. So I think that's one change I would make in the future. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lucia. Well done. Amazing work. I just love your examples of the various student engagement initiatives you're using, and such a variety of digital tools. And the Wellbeing Initiative was really, really smart idea in the current climate. So thanks a million, Lucia. Well done. And thank you for, I know you're supporting and helping colleagues in business as well. So thanks, Lucia. So next up we have Aurora Timosh from the School of Engineering. Aurora, are you there?
Yep.
Hi, Aurora. Good morning. You're very welcome.
Hello.
And Aurora is also
Thank
in the
you.
middle of doing her MA in her thesis in teaching and learning at the moment as well. So it's a big task for you taking on this program as well. So well done, Aurora.
Thank you. Thanks, Karina.
You ready to share?
I am, yeah. Can you see my screen? Sorry. Okay, my name is Aurora. Thanks, Karina, for introducing me. I'm from the Mechanical and Industrial Engineering Department. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about two tools that I've used. One of them, loads of people mentioned, but I used it in a slightly different way considering my background. So I'm teaching some modules that are more engineering and maths based. So for me, it's a bit less discussions and more doing. So this is how I've used the Padlet that I noticed that nearly everybody is using, and I've attended many training sessions with different occasions, and always people were using them. So I found a way of using Padlet that I didn't know I could before. So, for example, I've been using it in my engineering science module to collect answers from students when I was teaching chemistry, the chemistry section. And I didn't know that actually when you want to post something, there are other options than just typing. So I realized that there is this option here, draw. So basically the students can, if they are using their phones or if they're using a touch screen, they can actually write something or draw something, which is really useful for me because I wanted them to show me what they were doing quickly, and that's what they did. So, for example, when we were doing just some balancing some chemical equations, they could do that. Or when I was giving them a particular a substance to show me the covalent bonds or anything. So it was much easier to do it quickly. For example, something like that probably can't be typed. So I found this feature of Padlet really useful for me. So I used it, and I'm planning to use it next semester again, because I'm going to talk a lot about vectors and loads of operations with vectors. So that will be very useful when I ask students a question to post it that way. So that's one of the tools that I found really useful last semester, and I didn't know that it can do that. Another one that I found very good was the H5P, and I used it in a few occasions. One of them was simply to present the module. So I found this way of presenting information, the accordion feature, when simply you can click on any of these kind of tabs and you can see whatever you're interested in. So if the students are interested, for example, only in the assessment, if they want to remember what it was all about, they can quickly go there. So I found that pretty useful. I've also used the H5P to not necessarily present new material, but maybe more a kind of revision, and we include some very, very short quizzes, not marked or anything, just for the students to remember a few things. So, for example, here I had already talked to the students about probabilities and statistics before in a previous section, but I wanted them to remember a few things. So I've created this H5P for them to have a look at, and it included like this slide, a slide that they've seen before, but just to remind them a few things. So we were looking before at descriptive statistics only, but now I wanted them to look at inferential statistics. Another slide, just to create a little bit of interaction, you know, they can turn the slide and have some explanations there. They can do a little very short quiz and very simple, just to have an idea. So let's say that's where they've used descriptive statistics before. Another slide to remind them things. Another one, again, things that they had seen before but they might have forgotten, and another little quiz. So whatever it is, let's say population here, they just need to type and so on. They can check their answer, they can see the solutions, or they can retry. And I noticed that loads of them are retrying just to until they got it right. Whatever other things that I wanted them to remember. So I found that very useful, just to like a little revision tool that they can do quickly, either before class or at the beginning of the class if they were in the classroom. Also, I've used it like a little quiz, but as I said before, not marked or anything. Again, just to remember things. So I was using it here, for example, for normal probability, just to see if they remember, because they did probability in second year. So to see if they remember anything from there. So whatever, just typing something there to see if it's correct or not. Obviously, it's not correct here, but and so on and so forth. Or again, I used it also, sorry, just quickly to find it. I noticed that I could also
Aurora, I'm going to have to get you to finish off. Sorry, Aurora.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that I could also include a short video that I wanted to use to explain them something, and then to maybe ask a question. And so all I wanted to say is that I found this H5P pretty useful, and I'm planning to use it more. Thank you very much.
Aurora, thanks very much and well done. Fantastic work. I really love the layout of your course and the use of those tabs, how you've redesigned them, and the use of H5P. So clever. So really well done. Thanks so much, Aurora. And thanks so much for your work in mentoring colleagues also in the School of Engineering. So next up we have Anya Doherty. Anya is from IT Sligo. So Anya is part of our COA Champion Network. So thank you, Anya. Are you ready to share?
I am, yeah, no problem. Just give me a second.
You're very welcome. And Anya is a lecturer in marketing in IT Sligo, marketing strategy and planning. Thanks, Anya.
Yes, okay. So thank you to everyone, I suppose, who's got me involved in Digital Ed and in the iNote project. I think that the timing of all of this has been really the most important thing, because we found ourselves signed up to being digital champions and then in the middle of a pandemic where everybody was teaching online. So our role has been one that's been really important, certainly in IT Sligo, to support all of our colleagues. So I suppose the catapult of teaching online for all of my modules meant that I had this opportunity to try out lots of different digital resources. There were some I was already using because I was teaching online for the last 5 years or so, maybe one module every semester. So I played around with a couple of things like instead of getting out and doing site visits with the students to maybe companies that we were working on, I would have used iClips on my phone and just created my own virtual tour for companies that we were working with. And I would have recorded those in the summer when it was safer. I did some mind mapping with students and allowed them to contribute to the mind maps as well. I continue to use Moodle quizzes. You know, I have tried to use discussion forums. It's one of the things that I've found difficult to get students to engage with. So I was really interested to hear the feedback earlier about using Teams. I also found using Microsoft Teams and creating private groups for the students to work on their assessment to be really effective, for them to be able to understand how they can collaborate on documents for group projects. But today I wanted to talk to you about my use of Turnitin, and I will continue to be an advocate for Turnitin for people that haven't maybe had an opportunity to use it just yet. I know that Moodle also has assessment upload options as well, but Turnitin for me just it offers so many excellent features. So once you create your assessment in your Turnitin assessment in Moodle, the students will upload their projects, and then you can come in here to mark their projects. Now, I've used one of my students as a test account with her permission. She was happy enough for me to share this today. So this is just a project template. There's nothing in here in particular, but I did want to show you all of the different feedback features that are available within Turnitin. I don't think that I could do this online teaching without Turnitin, because it allows me to give so much personalized feedback to the students on their submissions. So you have this quick mark feature over here, and over time I have added in lots of my own quick marks, the things that I generally say and point out to students all of the time. So, you know, I can just drag and drop these things into this assignment. And if I find that, you know, my quick mark isn't descriptive enough, I can add in a few more comments in here and just to save that for the student as well. So the quick marks are a really quick way to get through the never-ending marking. Obviously, another feature in Turnitin is the ability to get the plagiarism score, and you have full control over what sources you want to be considered as plagiarism. So if the student is building on part 2 of a project and you want to maybe eliminate this particular source, then you can do that as well. But it's a really good idea, and I've done a few courses on this, on what the acceptable score is for students. Then we have the rubric as well. So I've only started using the rubric maybe in the last year or so, but it's great because you can upload your own rubrics if you're already using them, and the students can see roughly where they're falling within each of the criteria on your rubric. So I have a number of different rubrics uploaded in here, so you can create your own library for all of your different assessments, and that's a really good sort of marker for the students to see where they're falling within each category. My favorite bit, I have to say, is this ability to leave a 3-minute voice comment, so I can really give personalized and detailed feedback to each of the students. And 3 minutes, it's probably a bit of a stretch sometimes. It would be great maybe if it would be about 5 minutes, because if you were giving that one-to-one feedback with the students on campus, you probably would spend a little bit longer with them. But it's great to have this opportunity to do this. And in particular, then you also have a text box to give even more feedback. So sometimes what I do is break down their marks for them here. So if they've got 50% in this assignment, the assignment is worth 20% of their overall marks. I might break it down here for them. The other feature that you can do then is you can download the assignment as well. So once you've finished, you can download a PDF version, which is good sometimes for externs. If you want to send off copies, the PDF, obviously you don't get a copy of the voice note. This is also useful if the students are working in groups. The only, I suppose, downside of Turnitin is that one person submits on behalf of the group. So it means that the other group members can't get access to this feedback. That's just the one downside. So what I do is I download this view and then I email the PDF to the group of students. I recommend that they meet on Teams and that the person who submitted plays this feedback for everybody else. So that's a quick tour of Turnitin. The other feature that I've been using to drive a bit of engagement in class is Mentimeter, and I'm at the end, am I? Okay.
You've 1 minute. You've 1 minute.
I was going to do a little trial of Menti. I was going to get everybody to go
into
into
Menti.
Menti.
Okay, you have 1 minute.
Okay, so if you want to, if you have time, grab your phone or open up a browser on your desktop. And if you go to menti.com and you enter in this code here, 81 27 59 8, I've created a 3 or 4 question Menti so that you can see what it looks like from the student's point of view. So while you're doing that, I suppose I'll say that the benefits of Menti is that there are so many different types of questions that you can create, particularly, you know, you can do end of day quizzes, you can do word clouds, or you can have multiple choice questions, and the students really enjoy this. They particularly like it at the end of a class if they think that their knowledge is going to be tested. So when I go into Menti, so this is the one I create. Oh, you've already started filling it in. So that was the first question. So have you ever used Menti? And I can see that 10 of you have. I'm going to 12, and it's changing here. I'm going to keep going through these questions. So how easy was it for you to access Menti today? And we can see these results changing on screen live for us, so the students can see that as well. I'm going to go through really quickly. How do you feel about using an engagement tool like this? And this is just the word cloud. So if you could type in one response, then they should start to appear on the screen. And then we can see what's happening, and the students can see what everybody else is contributing to the discussion. And I'm going to keep going. So you can use quiz type questions. And this is a bit of a, so I think I have to wait. There we go. Answer fast and you can get more points, and then we can have a leaderboard. So which county is going to win the All-Ireland Football Championship in 2021? And I've got a bit of a trick question there for you all. So you can see the countdown. You've about 6 seconds left. And then when everybody has voted, the results will appear on the screen. And I have selected that the right answer has been definitely Donegal. Okay, so if I go to the next slide, you can see this leaderboard then. So you all had some really fun names. And then we can, you know, try to incentivize students to be a little bit more competitive. Okay, brilliant. I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for the extra time.
Thank you, Anya. Super. And we've lots of followers of Menti here in GMIT. And just for colleagues on the call to note as well, we have licenses, GMIT licenses for Menti. So you can get in touch with tlo@gmit.ie. We have some, I think we do have some still available. Isn't that right, Jessica? For colleagues who may not have access. We also have a Padlet GMIT account now as well, so it's for everybody in the Institute. So moving on, thanks a million, Anya. Well done, brilliant, great ideas. And next up we have Marie Finnegan. Marie Finnegan from the School of Business. So thank you, Marie, for sharing your showcase today on your work.
Great, can everybody hear me?
Yes, thanks,
Great.
Marie.
Okay, well, I want to start off, I suppose, by thanking Annette and Karina and also Trevor, the digital champion in the School of Business, for helping me through this process. It's been really rewarding and interesting, I think. So what I'm going to do is I focused for my this digital showcase. We could talk about many things, but I focused on the notion of scaffolding. So in terms of learning and teaching. So it occurs when the lecturer provides student assistance to the extent that the scaffolded individual can do the task in hand himself or herself. So what I used a few tools for this. A lot of people have talked about some of the tools, but I think probably one of the things that I did was the way I organized the course page. So when the students go in, they see how to contact me through Twitter. I also used a Twitter account for this particular module, and they can go down here. So it's very clear for them, like Lucia, in terms of getting started, I got them to do the MS Teams badge. That was very useful. They can go into their tutorial here, so they can choose their group and they can access the tutorial. So I had a live link here to MS Teams, so they knew exactly where they could go. I also put up a little video on how they do that. So if they wanted to go to whatever one they wanted, they could just click on it. So then we'll say, moving on, I gave details on continuous assessment, and this little icon all the way down shows what their continuous assessment is. So they know that in each topic there's going to be videos, there's going to be readings, there's going to be practice work, and there's going to be the graded CA, whatever the graded CA is worth. In the first week I did a graded CA. I know that might be a bit heavy-handed, but I think it was useful for just getting the students engaged. It was low stakes, 5% and 2%. So they engaged very well with that. I'm just going to go into, say, the topic 3, elasticity. So when they go in there, they see their videos, they see the chapter of the book that it's based on. The learning outcome, I think this was mentioned by the first speaker, Michael Carey, that it's important to link everything to the learning outcomes, back to the learning outcomes, so the students know what's being assessed. I also used interactive forums like Trevor in the videos, again, to make sure they're engaging, and like Trevor, I put them in the middle and the end to make sure that they actually did watch the video and engaged with it. And like many of you, I also used HP5 in interactive YouTube videos as well. So they go down to their videos, and that's the video section. So then they can go on to their readings, and again, in interactive slides, I had forums, MS forums, quizzes that they could do, and a revision sheet, which gives a summary of the whole topic. Then in terms of the practice work, so the practice work was framed around something that I sent to them every morning. So sorry, I'll just go back into that. So I would have sent every Monday morning a live work schedule to tell them what we're going to be doing for the week. And I'll just, again, a shout out to Trevor here. He helped me with this. I took his template basically and populated as mine. So thanks, Trevor, for that. So if I just go into that quickly, I thought I had it open, but I just open it. That's not it, sorry. I'll come back to that. So in the tutorial, we had a number of things. So there's sometimes I put up tutorials, but there are many live sessions. And like Lucia, I use the polls in live sessions all the time to, you know, check understanding, and also to do icebreakers at the beginning of class sometimes. You know, whereas Anya there put up, you know, little quiz questions, and they could see it in real time, the answers. So there's a practice quiz, there's a tutorial sheet, and like many of you, I also used Padlet. So in Padlet, how I got them to engage with Padlet was I got them to download MS Lens, take a photo of their work, and then upload the photo to Padlet. And these were the results of breakout sessions in MS Teams, which they really liked, actually. The breakout sessions in MS Teams where they could, you know, talk together, get to know each other a little bit, I suppose, solve a problem and then post their solution. And then we came back to the main room and we shared our solution and talked about what we had discovered. So it was useful for giving feedback, and again, scaffolding the students, which is what I was focused on. And finally, then in each topic there was this section, and it was very clear for them because they could see, okay, well here I go into my graded CA. So we go into elasticity again, into my graded CA, and like Aurora, this subject is kind of more, you know, about doing things, calculations and so on. So if I just go into that. So they see here it's worth 22%. They see when it is. This is the quiz. And then again, thanks to Trevor again. Trevor showed us this last May, find a post to discuss it. And that was worth 2%. And like Lucia, I had been using forums for a long time. And I found it very hard to get engagement on it. But this time I did get engagement, and it was only worth 2%. So if we go into it, they only had to, for example, post a resource that explains the concept of elasticity, or an article on a real-world application of elasticity, comment on why you found this useful, and comment on another student's example of what did you learn. So they really engaged with that, and again, it was, I suppose, about collaborative learning, social interaction, and so on. So a lot of the tools I used, I suppose, is what other people used, like HPI5, the MS Teams badge, the Ask a Post-it, the polls, Padlet, and the flipped classroom idea, I suppose, where students were, were given the material, and then they had to look at it themselves, and then they had to come back in and ask questions. So I think I am finished now. I probably am under time, am I?
No, you're just on time, Marie.
Okay.
The economist.
Yeah, I timed it earlier. So so that's it, yeah. And I mean, if I could just do one more thing with you, I just want to show you this thing here, which is so they got this every week. So what they had to do. So again, what is the learning outcome? You know, why are we doing this in the first place? What they had to do in terms of looking at their videos and their YouTube videos with the embedded questions and so on. Then what the session title was, so the live tutorial, what they needed to bring. So there was no wasting of time. They knew exactly what they had to have when they came to the tutorial. So there was no wasting time. We just got straight into it. How they prepared for their online, for their graded work, and then how they did their graded work. Okay, so it was very clear. They knew exactly for each topic how to do it. And then I'm just going to finish up with how they found it themselves. So you can see here that students found the quadrant approach very useful. So the orange and the blue part, they really liked that. They liked the structure of delivery, where they got that schedule on a Monday, knowing exactly what was going to happen for the week or for the 2 weeks to come. So it was pretty universal. They really liked that. And then they also liked the forums for engaging, which I was really surprised that they liked it so much. And they also really like the embedded quizzes in the videos on YouTube and the PowerPoint slides. So I suppose it's a continuous process, isn't it? Module development, and that kind of gives me confidence that what I was doing might have been useful. And some of those I certainly will continue with, given that feedback. Thanks.
Brilliant, and Marie, fantastic work. Well done as well to you. Really super. Just love what you've done with your module and the layout and design, and you've embedded such a range of activities, just like your previous colleagues that have presented as well. So super work. Well done. You know, it's great achievement, and thanks for your work. I know you're equally a mentor to colleagues in the School of Business, supporting their development. So thanks, Marie. So next up we have Cormac Flynn from the School of Engineering. Cormac, are you here? Cormac Flynn? Is Cormac Flynn here?
Sorry, my schoolboy error, my mic was off. Can
Hi,
you hear me okay?
Hi, Cormac, how's it going?
Grand now, thanks.
Cormac is going to talk to us about his outputs. So thanks, Cormac.
Yeah, sorry, just made a mistake there. Okay, so I'm teaching in the the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Just going to talk about a module that I deliver there, and it's human physiology. And just a little bit of context. It's a first-year module, and it's in the biomedical engineering program. There's about 40 students in it, and we meet online for an hour a week, so it's pretty tight. In terms of the design, I've designed this a couple of years ago, and I used what's known as the Oscar model. I'm just going to turn off my video because I think my broadband is not great. Oscar model is distinct from the Oscar scorecard, which some of you might be familiar with, but it was developed in New Zealand. I used to teach there, and it's similar to backward design. And the idea, it starts with the learning outcomes and it develops the course from there. And the last thing you consider are the resources. So actually what I like about it is quite a simple method, and it aligns all the activities with the outcomes. And it also removes any clutter, stuff that's not needed for achieving the outcomes. In terms of the structure, I run it as a flipped classroom. So it's activity based. So students do something before class. We're doing activities in that hour when we meet on the Friday, and then they got stuff to do then after they go away. In terms of technology, it's pretty succinct. Obviously, I use Teams and Moodle. I use OneNote a lot during the live session, and also students develop an e-portfolio using OneNote. Use Padlet as an anonymous feedback tool, and also use Kahoot in the class. So in terms of the structure of the Moodle page, so I used, similar to Aurora, I used the one topic format, which organizes everything into tabs. So on the home page is a bit of an overview of the module. I have a video here giving a tour of the Moodle page, some links to kind of external support services, PDF of the module outlined, news forum, some contact details for me, and then there's a Padlet notice board, and this appears right throughout the Moodle page, and I'll show you later. Next tab over, everything, all the assessments are organized in this tab here. So there's a bunch of sub-tabs. So firstly, an overview of all the assessments they're going to do for the module in terms of the weighting and the outcomes assessed. Online tests, which they're going to do this year, all contained in one page, so they know where to go to find them. The e-portfolio, organized under this tab. A bit of background on what an e-portfolio is. Students may not know what the idea of it is, so just a bit of background information on that. And then all the tasks related to the e-portfolio are listed down here. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And then they also have an opportunity to earn some badges in this course. So I've got a flipped student badge. So that's a badge for students who finish the pre-class activities on time, and a couple of attendance badges for semester 1 and semester 2, and then also an excellent e-portfolio badge which they can earn at the end of the year. Schedule, just giving a week to week what they're going to cover, so they know where they are. Then in terms of content, there's 4 learning outcomes in the human physiology course, so some around the heart, digestive system, nervous system, and then tissue types and function. So under each tab here, it breaks it out. So for example, the digestive system then is broken up into subtopics, and typically they cover each one of these topics in a week. So for example, on the mouth to stomach, so all the topics are organized in a similar template. So for the mouth to stomach, there's the learning outcomes for the particular topic are listed at the top. Usually try to get a pretty image related to the topic on the, keep it visual. And then there's pre-class activity. So everything under that heading has to be done before the class, before we meet on the Friday. So it's typically a Moodle lesson. So I'll go into that in a little bit more detail shortly. In class activities, so there's a link to a Kahoot quiz there, which we'll do in class, and then also a link to the relevant page on the OneNote class notebook. And then post-class activities after they go away, typically do a self-evaluation quiz. There's no marks going for this quiz, it's just for their own formative feedback and for revision. And then as in this case, there's a couple of H5P videos with questions embedded that they can do as well. And then any additional resources which might help with the learning are usually contained at the bottom of the page. So just to dive into the Moodle lesson, so for those who haven't used a Moodle lesson before, it's a mixture of content and questions. So this year I made some changes to it. I've been using Moodle lessons for quite a few years, but this year I wanted to kind of embed some UDL principles into the course and give students an option or a different pathway. So the first page generally lists the objectives, and then when they hit next, they have an option of reading about a topic, so they can read some content about the mouth in this case, or if they want, they can watch a video about it. So if they click on, I would like to read about the mouth, they click on there, and if some content comes up, they can take their notes and put it in their own format, some images, and then at the bottom, if they hit next, they get a question or a series of questions on the content. If, however, they prefer to watch a video, they can click on, I'd like to watch a video about the mouth. They get the same content, but it's just delivered in a different way. It's actually just me doing a video, just creating something on OneNote. So it's about, no more than a 10-minute video, and it covers the same content, it's just delivered in a different way. There's great feedback from this. Most people prefer to read and take their own notes. But there is a significant minority that do like to watch a video, so it got good feedback from this. And when they hit next, they also get the same questions that the people who read the content, so they're getting the same test at the end of the day. So there's a series of content then throughout the lesson. So there's an option of video or text for those kind of things. At the end of every Moodle lesson, there's kind of a quick wrap up, and then I also embed the class, the Padlet that I use for the class at the end of the lesson. So if students have a question, they don't have to go off somewhere else to post something. They can see the Padlet right there and then, and they just put it in there, and I can read that feedback then before we meet in the class on Friday and address any questions. It's actually used quite a lot this year from embedding it in the Moodle lesson. That's the kind of the structure of the Moodle page. So every topic is kind of structured the same. So students have a kind of a uniform experience each week. And when we're in class, I use OneNote a lot. So I'll just show you a little bit about that. So all the content for each week is put up, what we're going to do in the class. So for example, we just looked at mouth to stomach, the lesson. So when they meet in the class on Friday, they're going to do some activities under here. So first of all, I usually start off with a lesson overview and just have a discussion about the lesson, and if anybody has any questions. And I just create this live in the class. I might have a few sketches, a few images, and just labeling, asking the students questions on Teams. They're typically asking questions as well. And then they might do a few activities. So there might be some labeling activities, and these activities I can actually distribute down to the student sections. So I usually do that a couple of days beforehand, so the students can actually work on these on the computer if they wish. And some of them do, but some of them don't. But all these activities they can just do with a pen and paper anyway on the day. They don't have to engage on OneNote if they don't want to. Sometimes technical issues or broadband issues might preclude them from doing that. And usually try and have a video in the class as well. These are engineers, and I want them to engage properly with the or see the link between physiology and engineering. And just the very last thing is the e-portfolio. So doing an e-portfolio, there's a few tasks in there, and I kind of scaffold it. The first task is just talk about yourself and your goals for the module, and then just build it up from there. Some research projects to do in there. Thanks very much. That's me.
Super, Cormac, another super presentation. Thanks so much. Really clever use of the lesson tool in Moodle, the use of OneNote, Padlet, such a fabulous layout to your course as well. So really well done. And thanks again also for, your mentoring work in the School of Engineering. So thanks, Cormac.
Thanks, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Next up, we have, just before we take a break, we're going to have Claire Gilson from the Galway International Hotel School. So Claire, are you here? Are you with us?
I am, Karina. Just bear with me for 1 second. Oh, wrong
Claire. And Claire is another superwoman. She's doing her thesis in teaching and learning in her master's stage of the Masters in Teaching and Learning. So fair play to you, Claire, doing this on top of everything else. So really well done. And also for your work being a champion in your department and in your school. So thanks, Claire.
Thanks a million, Karina. Thanks so much. And I suppose I think it was Lucia and the little interactive tasks that she did with the students on kindness. I have to say the same in terms of the kindness of my other digital champions, and the staff within the department of the Galway International Hotel School. I've had great support because I have been extremely busy. But what I'm going to talk to you today about is, I suppose, my digital teaching and learning strategy. And I suppose this, just in case you're not familiar, what I've used to create this presentation is Canva, and I find it really, really slick. And I suppose it's a good tool, a free tool for the students to use, maybe when they go out on placement, if they want to develop social media, advertisements, if they want to develop infographics, or even for presentations anyway. So just to kind of go very quickly, because I'm mindful that, we only have about 6 or 7 minutes. What I'll be talking to you is about my strategy. I'll introduce you to the module very quickly that I've used, talk a little bit about the ABC learning design method, tell you about the brief, the digital tools that I got the students to use. Again, just like Cormac has just mentioned, the e-portfolio, and then just any little bit of advice that I can give you running these things. So you can see the picture of me there, the big happy head on me. I suppose the aim of my teaching, digital teaching strategy, is to ensure that I consistently inspire and engage my students. That's the one thing that I want my students to take with them. And also, create an environment where they're using and learning, maybe industry focused skills that they can use, and they're collaborating and they're, communicating effectively with one another and people, obviously, when they graduate or whatnot, with employers and colleagues and stuff like that. Okay, so just to tell you a little bit about the module that I took this year, it's Introduction to Sensory and Consumer Science. What traditionally, and this is the first year it would have been run, but I suppose my own background is I've always taught face-to-face. So this was a new experience, and I think going back on what maybe it was what Lucia you said and Michael at the very beginning, I think it was a strength nearly in some way, taking a new module and developing it myself. It might have been easier, so I had a blank canvas. And particularly, I suppose, the stress that, I kind of was under, like to maybe convert what was like 100% face-to-face now to, well, I had one practical class, like, so you would be looking at 75% online and then 25% practical as well. And these guys, I suppose, ultimately they would have trained as chefs the last 2 years. Now in third year, they'd be looking for a role in food manufacturing, maybe in the area of sensory analysis, R&D, development chefs. So they would need to present with technical ability, they'd need to be critical thinkers, problem solvers, and how, I was kind of thinking, how could I do this? How could I develop an assignment? How could I develop a brief, activities that they will gain from it? So I suppose I was mindful of the GMIT strategic plan, plan 2019-2023, which states, we need to create industry-focused programs maintaining employability for students. So I was kind of thinking, right, how can I look at communication skills? How can I make students become more creative, innovative, problem solvers, increase their digital literacy? Because I suppose from last March 2020, we really saw where maybe students struggled with IT, and they weren't maybe, where before maybe chalk and talk was fine, but now there was a little bit more pressure on us to be entertainers, to be, innovative in our own delivery. I needed to ensure that students would be able to collaborate, because I suppose ultimately industry are looking for that, and that students would be team players. So I suppose, again, probably one of the best things about, the digital modules, and thanks to Karina and Annette, is like the ABC learning design method, which was super, like the delivery. And I remember doing this on the teaching and learning cert, and then doing it again, in a school review that we had. And for me, like, looking at the different learning styles, I was able to kind of, equipped, I suppose, with I was very mindful of my learning outcomes, the assessments that I was kind of governed by, but also, I was able to look at, I suppose, the different styles and apply activities. And what I did was, just in the picture on the bottom left, is the ABC wheel with all the digital technologies I used, so that the students could engage with those and could bring, I suppose, a digital toolkit with them when, they would leave the GMIT. So just to talk a little bit about their assignment, basically what I wanted them to do is a sensory research project. So they looked at a particular market sector, so they might have been on dairy products, they could have been on confectionery, they could have been on breakfast cereals. I got them to identify the different competitors, in a particular market, identify the market leader, and compare it against another product. What I wanted them to do is do some sensory analysis on that. So I wanted them to identify 8 key sensory descriptors to do a sensory test on. But, I wanted the students to research the literature. I also then wanted them to, get some feedback from the class. They were going to carry out some sensory analysis on the packs as well, and then they were going to undertake the test. So this, and reflect on all this. So this was going to, where we had face-to-face, and we didn't have COVID, and people could, when they basically created the questionnaires, they were handed paper questionnaires. We couldn't do that now because of, we weren't allowed use the same pen, let alone collect papers up. So Microsoft Forms was brilliant. The students were able to develop a consent form, for one another to fill out on their phones. They were able to develop their sensory analysis questionnaire, and they were able to pass that out. And it's something now that they can take, so if they go working for a small SME, they're able to take Microsoft Forms and their sensory test and do sensory tests outside of here. The other thing that we did was we used Mentimeter, like the other guys have said. They did a literature search on I suppose appropriate attributes to describe different products, but also what they did is they themselves conducted a Mentimeter in class, and they presented the, let's say it was chocolate, for instance, they presented a piece of chocolate and asked the class, you know, how would they define the chocolate in terms of sweet, in terms of taste, aroma, texture, you know, flavor, you know, and the students do that. So they had a whole descriptive cloud on the different attributes. The other thing that they did, which was brilliant, was Padlet, and I got this from my two colleagues as well as, I suppose, the teaching and learning, but Ulrich and Anne O'Leary. And basically, you know, what we did was the students put up a picture of the front and the back of their pack, and students were asked to evaluate the packs. So they got an assortment of descriptive feedback on the packs as well. So they had to analyse, you know, all that data now from the actual sensory test, from the word cloud, and then from you know, the information on the advertising or whatnot from Padlet. And the last thing that I wanted the students to do, and all these tools are free and they're very, very useful, was Canva. And Canva is much, as I say, slicker. You know, it's a nicer presentation. You can use a template. You know, it's probably quicker. I found it quicker to maybe make this presentation than I would with PowerPoint, because you're spending time trying to make it look nice and slick. And sometimes this, you know, I took a pre-designed template and kind of added my own little things to it, and I did it much quicker. I'm nearly finished now, guys. So PebblePad, what they did was when they had done all their research, we uploaded that information, we formatted it and uploaded into PebblePad. And PebblePad is defined as an e-portfolio and a personal learning platform. It's brilliant from the point of view that the students can take that with them and present to a future employer. And I suppose the best thing about this particular assignment is they could showcase what they've done, because it's very much an industry focused approach to work, and they can showcase it to a potential employer and say, this is what I've, you know, done in college. It's a system for logging evidence and achievements, experiences and skills. PebblePad can also be used for reflection and journaling. And I suppose as part of my MA, I'm looking at the role of a reflective practice e-portfolio, you know, the benefits and barriers, you know, for culinary students. And reflection has been brilliant, you know, and I suppose again, industry are looking for our students to be critical thinkers, to be reflective, you know, that they, you know, they're kind of questioning all the time, how can they do something better, what worked well for them, what didn't, what they can take with them. And I've seen huge, you know, growth within the students' actual portfolios, but also the reflective pieces, exercises that I did for them. Just one tiny other thing in terms of e-portfolios is the ePortfolio Ireland have the holy grail of rubrics. It was developed by Lisa Donaldson from DCU. It's an excellent rubrics for marking ePortfolios. I'm probably coming up to time, Karina, am I? Just to talk a little bit about when you log into PebblePad, you know, this is basically the dashboard that you're greeted with. So this is the page that the students will see. What you can do, there's an assessment, an Atlas interface that will allow you to design your assessments and also send maybe templates to the students. Ask you to put in submission, set up submissions for the submission box rather for the students. There's so much that you can do in there. You can set up rubrics as well. It really is an exceptional tool that the students take with them. What I might do just very, very quickly is I'll click onto, let me see now. I'll click onto PebblePad and just show you. So hopefully you can still see this. So it shouldn't take 2 minutes, guys, because I'm logged in, or I thought I was logged in, Galway Institute of Technology. And basically what the students did, so their sensory research project, basically you set up your e-portfolio like so. I got them to develop their general introduction, you know, where they talked about the project. I got them to tell me a little bit about the category and sector analysis of what they were doing. They could put in videos, they could put in questionnaires, they could put in photos, you know, quotes. Like it's just super, all the digital artifacts that you can put in, and materials and methods. I got them to go through the process of what they did. I got them to upload their consent form. I got them to upload their tests and stuff like that. So it's a really good tool, you know, and the students will be able to take that with them then as well.
Yes. I have to stop you now, Claire. You're so good. Thanks a million. And you know, just for everybody on the call there, we've a number of colleagues part of a pilot group with the Digital Champions Network who are looking at PebblePad, and we will be doing a showcase of PebblePad later in the year. It'll probably be closer to May when we showcase colleagues' work on how they've been working with students with PebblePad. We're working towards perhaps an institute license in the future for PebblePad, but at the moment we're in pilot stage evaluating it. So thanks a million, Claire. Well done, super work. Just love all that you've done in developing your students' digital skills and creative skills. So, and thank you for your work as a mentor. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take 5 minutes, grab a cup of coffee. I know this is a lot that we're taking in this morning, but we're trying to keep to time. Annette, you're going to take over as MC after this.
Thanks, everybody. That's fantastic. And I haven't been butting in, but I've just been putting my comments on because, you know, if two of us are giving feedback, we'll just be holding it up. So I'm going to do the timing now for the session after the break. So if everybody takes 5 minutes, and we're going to be starting back with Noreen. So it's 11:31. So we'll say 11:36, we'll start again. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Brilliant. The call will still be on. I'm just going to mute and turn off my camera. Yeah.